My story begins in 2008. I was at a prayer meeting at the International House of Prayer in Kansas City, Missouri. And we had actually a training session, a class session, and I learned there in the book of Revelation, chapter 18, it talks about Babylon the Great being destroyed in the end times, and the merchants of the earth weeping because they have nowhere else to sell their goods, sell their chariots and their horses and their spices. And there's this long list, and at the end of that list it says, "in the bodies and souls of men." And so we launched from there, and they started talking about human trafficking and sex trafficking around the world. And I found out for the first time in my life that slavery still exists. I had no idea. So my heart was broken there. I spent pretty much the whole entire class session crying and praying and asking God what my part is to play in this. And so 10 years later, I've dedicated my life to fighting sex trafficking. I consistently ask the Lord, God, what else can I give? What more can I give to fight this injustice? So recently, one of the things that I gave up was some of my dignity, my beard. For a bearded man, his beard is part of his glory. And I saw on Facebook, this group called Just Dash October, started by some Canadian guys, where men lose some of their dignity to raise awareness for the millions around the world whose dignity gets stripped from them through sex trafficking. And so I actually found out about it a little bit after it had already begun. So I jumped in, and the next day I committed. I shaved half of my face. So now I'm raising awareness for the millions around the world and the thousands right here in my city of Houston who are having their dignity stripped from them through sex trafficking, who are enslaved in a system of exploitation. And so I'm raising awareness for an organization called Elijah Rising that's very close to my heart. Raising awareness for Love People Not Pixels, for other organizations that are fighting sex trafficking here in this city. The one organization in Houston that is doing the most to bring an end to sex trafficking long term is Love People Not Pixels. Because there's three populations that are involved in sex trafficking. There is the populations that's being exploited, the trafficking victims. There are those who are trafficking them, the exploiters, and then they're all being incentivized by this vast pool of men who are willing to pay for sex. Love People Not Pixels is the only organization in Houston whose main purpose and main focus is addressing those men who are paying for sex. And that's what fuels this whole system. Without men paying for sex, the system collapses. You can remove every trafficker from Houston today. You could rescue every trafficked woman and put her in a safe place. And then next week there'll still be sex trafficking going on in Houston. But if you arrest or change the minds of every consumer of sex, every man who's willing to pay for sex in the city of Houston, next week they're all gone. That's why I support Love People Not Pixels. Elijah Rising is an organization that I believe has a fantastic fundamental understanding of the issue of sex trafficking from the spiritual side and also from the historical side. I'm standing right now in the Museum of Modern Day Slavery in Elijah Rising's headquarters, and I'm standing in a room surrounded by the history of sex trafficking going back to the ancient Babylon all the way to the early 1920s. And the stories of great abolitionists here on this wall who have fought against sex trafficking, who have risked their own lives, and who have given everything to fight against this great injustice. So I stand with Elijah Rising in their endeavors to end sex trafficking through prayer, awareness, intervention, and restoration. All four of those things, starting with the foundation of prayer, are absolutely essential to fighting the system of injustice. So the vision isn't just to end the injustice, to bring an end to sex trafficking. The vision is to bring everybody involved in the system of sex trafficking into a place of restoration. The men who are purchasing sex, the traffickers who are abusing and exploiting others, and the women who are being exploited, to bring all of them into restoration. Right now, this room I'm standing in used to be a shower in a brothel, right here in Houston. This was a brothel. This was the shower. They would bring men back here. They'd have them undress, for hygiene reasons, but also to make sure that they weren't wearing a wire and they weren't law enforcement. Now, this shower has been converted into a room in a museum, speaking about sex trafficking and educating everybody, educating the public on the evils of sex trafficking and trying to ignite a fire in people. And so the goal isn't just to stop this one criminal enterprise, but is to bring full restoration to the entire system. That's why I'm a defender.